Hello, and welcome to Execution Mastery Masterclass Track 5, where we'll be talking about leveraging human catalyst. Alright, so we have come thus far. We have covered quite a number of topics on the Execution Mastery Masterclass. And I just want to say that in understanding execution, implementation, in understanding this, you must begin to see the wealth of resources that are around you and how to access them and manage them well. No one is an island. I know there may be categories of people who feel like they can do everything by themselves and in themselves, but the world was not created that way, and we need to begin to see that execution goes beyond you and that there are wealth of resources that are linked to humans. I mean people all around you in their various categories. So this is about opening our eyes to see that there's something hidden in humans for you and myself, to leverage on in achieving our results faster. That's all about the game of execution. And these resources that I call human catalysts, they have been placed within your world, all right, to catalyze and speed up your execution processes. It's just like what the Bible says, that one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can send the legions fleeing, all right? That is, there's something one person will do that would have a reasonable amount of impact. But then when you begin to look at it on a wider scale and bringing more people on board, that's one. Or you accessing other valuable relationships, you begin to see that you will do more in terms of accelerating the turnaround time by which you get your results. I want to break down what I mean by a catalyst. As a chemistry graduate, I can literally explain what the term catalyst means, because several times in the labs we had to initiate some reactions. If I remember, exothermic, endothermic reactions and all of that, by just introducing a substance that quickens the rate at which we want to get the results, but not necessarily altering anything in the chemical compositions of the compounds that were involved in the reaction. So a catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction. All right, increases the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. So I'm talking about human catalyst now. So it's like defining that person or that thing that precipitates the event, that precipitates your execution process, that makes it, more activated, that accelerates it, that makes it quicker without necessarily, taking the glory, or without necessarily being a major part in the event, as it were. So I want you to think of it as a way of accelerating the game, a way of making things happen for you, faster, and then with lesser force or energy or stress. All right, so that's just the picture right now. I want to share with you 8 principles that I learned directly from the Visionary Compass Accelerator program, a program that I gained access to because I practiced some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you right now, and as I began to maximize the relationships that I have by joining this accelerator program, I began to see some things happen faster for me. I realized that there was a particular project I had in mind that I was going to do, on having to equip creatives on how to establish a healthy home. And I had to bring in resource persons, had to think of how long it was going to be and everything. And all of that I did in the space of 2 weeks, building the content and building the content and planning that entire program in the space of 2 weeks, because I practiced some of these principles here. And it's not just in that program that I have practiced some of these principles. I will be sharing examples of how they have worked for me as I'm going on with this discourse. So we need to understand that as we discuss these principles, I want you to begin to think of partnerships. Don't see partnerships as a big word or as a word that's only meant to exist in the world of SMEs and in the world of businesses and all of that. It's something that should be a part of your everyday life. The idea of partnering is God's idea. In the book of Genesis, we see it loud and clear. When God said there, let us make man in our own image. He was the creation, the Spirit brooded for the earth, the Spirit had this place. The work of humanity, it's a work of partnership. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit coming together to ensure that they executed the work of creation. All right, and the blessing of humanity was produced. So think of partnership in that light. Think of, as we discuss these principles, think of team building, think of collaborations. And I'm going to try to open you up to an idea of collaboration that wowed me as I learned these principles myself. Think of volunteering. Not about you as the volunteer alone, but as you also giving platforms to other people to volunteer in whatever you're trying to build, in whatever you're trying to execute, in whatever you're trying to do at this phase of your life. Think of apprenticeship, think of friendships, all right, as resources that will catalyze and speed up the turnaround time to executing set goals and projects. Begin to think of who you need to become, because in acquiring this new knowledge, you're going to be asking yourself some questions. I'm saying to yourself, okay, am I practicing this enough? Who do I need to become? What new decisions do I have to make? What new steps do I have to take? I want you to begin to say to yourself, as we share these 8 principles, do you need to become more vocal about what you're nurturing and creating value around? Do you need to become more bold? Do you need to learn public speaking? Do you need to learn some skill of initiating conversations and building relationships? Do you need to get acquainted with the formal or semi-formal approach behind writing proposals and selling yourself and pitching yourself and building networks and initiating relationships? Begin to think of people who you do not know but are giving you products to enjoy freely without your consent. It's about you stepping out and seeing what has even been given to you freely. As we share these 8 principles, this is how I want you to open your mind completely so that you can really begin to execute your work. I just want to share a little bit about resources here. Resources are available. I really do believe that resources are available to kickstart every execution process, all right, and to build on, because sometimes whatever you're building has many phases to it. So depending on the phase and the magnitude of that work, you need to know that resources have been made available. I believe that God will not put something in your heart to do without making provision. So it's now about you really beginning to see that resources are available, not in the light of your own paradigm, the way you see it alone, but in the way God really wants us to see it. All right, so the interpretation given to the word resource, I believe by many, is what has hampered the execution process for so long. So you begin to think of yourself, think about how you think of the word resource. What does resource mean to you? Because many have defined resource only in the terms of monetary value, all right, and have been blinded to other channels, thinking about resource in terms of just monetary value. When you talk about your parents, I need money, and then you just keep thinking, I need money, and you don't even start anything at all. Meanwhile, that's not exactly what you need. So let's get straight to it. The 8 principles to attracting human resource, because I believe that this is one of the life-changing parts of execution, when you understand deeply and the branches, as it were, the different angles to the human resource, and allowing it to catalyze your execution process. All right, so number 1 is the principle. Like I said, these were principles that I learned, so this is about knowledge sharing the knowledge that has worked. So principle of the existent need. This is you asking yourself, what do I really need? And a need speaks to the necessity at hand. All right, it helps you to paint the actual need in that moment for that project, not fixating on just money. So I want to start a coaching business, or you want to start a coaching business, or you want to start a coaching, that's a good example. You want to start a coaching business, and somebody might say, I need 500,000 to start this. This is what I'm going to get. This is what I'm going to get, and all of that. And then in your mind, all you're expecting is that somehow 500,000 should hit your account, and then you begin to go access or buy the things that you need to begin that work. But think of it this way. I wanted to start a coaching business. Like I said, I'm going to use examples, and my actual need was, I told myself it's going to be online. I want to work virtually. I want to work with the digital space. I want to go techie, and I put it down there. I need this gadget. I need a laptop that can do this, that can do this, that can do this. I need this, I need that. At the time that I was going to be getting that laptop, that particular amount wasn't something that I had handy. But then along the line, somebody who was selling, who just brought in some laptops into the country, got in touch with someone close to me, and then I got access to that information. And I'm like, I need a laptop. I need this laptop, and I got access to a laptop without necessarily having the cash fully at that hand. So I could tie it down until, I was able to clear it off and all of that. So you need to begin to say, what is the actual need? Because when you know the actual need, it helps you not to just fixate on money. Also think about an office, a space. For example, somebody else who wants to start a coaching business might prefer to have direct life experiences with his or her student. And so he's saying, I need an office, I need a space that would be able to allow me teach like 40 people, 50 people, or 100 people. I needed to have a projector, I needed to have good light, those are the actual needs, because he's writing it down, because there are different kinds of offices, there are different kinds of space. So you need to be able to put down what is the need. the existent need, the actual need. Always bear in mind that there are people, or that there may be people in your circle who will give you access to their resources and assets that they have control over and may not have liquid cash. So there are times you're going to benefit from the resources that other people carry. You know, another term that I've heard someone use for this is other people's resources, OPR. You know, so another example here is like when I was executing some of my concerts, you know, and I got access to a musically equipped hall that may have cost me over ₦1 million to rent, you know, with the supporting resources. I got access to that. So the person in control of this hall would perhaps not give me ₦1 million to go, you know. So you need to be, so that's the difference, because once you can put it down that way, it's completely different. Oh, what we need right now is we need access to a hall that can do this, that can do that. Somebody else might be saying, I need $1 million. I see, this was one thing that really, you know, helped. Some of you might have been practicing this, but not knowing that this is what you're practicing, so you have to just keep at it. So the mindset here is you telling yourself what money can buy, and not necessarily having, say, it's only when I have the cash that I can get going on. The second principle that I learned is the principle of abundance. The principle of abundance. And I have been practicing this principle, so I'm so happy to know that I'm not the only person in the world maximizing this principle, because over time, people make you feel like you believing that you can enjoy things for free is like you living a life that's not right, as it were. But there are things that you can enjoy for free. So, and that's the principle of abundance. That you must understand that the world is wired in such a way that it is meant to support you, because there will be seasons in your life you are growing, and as you're growing, you need to begin to execute with an understanding that I can't have nurtured this idea, or I can't have nurtured this this project or this vision without a certain level of amount of resources that has been put around me. Okay, so the world is wired in such a way that it is meant to support you. And once you understand that and you lay hold of it, it catalyzes your execution process. You must understand that everybody and the system has a desire to give back. It's about you identifying where these resources are and going all the way to get it. Like I said, you need to think about volunteering, all right? You need to realize that there are people willing to support your cause. And so you need to be more vocal about your cause. You need to be able to talk to people more about what you're trying to achieve and allow the resources flow in. Abundance mindset is a key to attracting human resource and thereby catalyzing the execution process. I want to also talk about the principle of collaboration. Collaboration, before that particular exposition in that accelerator program, I had always seen collaboration only from the angle of talking to people up there, or talking to people who are on like the same journey with me in terms of status and all of that. But then, you know, this principle of collaboration is talking about the diamond in a rough principle. That is, it was such a big secret. This is about not focusing on the big names. It's about not focusing on the big names, because it's something that's so common in our society. They just feel like, oh, they have to be major influencers. They have to be people with the highest number of followings. They have to be people who you can see with your eyes physically, that they have built edifices, they have built something and all of that. But this is a principle of collaboration that is opening you to the ability to see diamonds in a state of it being built, as it were. I feel I can use that word. So you're not focusing on the big brands here. It's about you identifying growing names, growing brands. You're identifying the so to say, they look like small people you pass by every day, whose visions possibly aligns with yours and are ready to do work with you. Okay, so there's a startup, someone just started up something, just shared an idea. She's still just maybe she's in the food business. You want to start something, and you need caterers and all of that, or you need to just link up with someone in that field, but you are just looking down on those who don't particularly have the big names yet. All right, so at this phase, you need to begin to think about your direct circle of influence. All right, these guys are all around you, and you'll be so surprised to know that they have amazing things to offer, and that would help you speed up what you're trying to achieve. The next principle is the principle of no competition. All right, this is more or less like the principle of no scarcity. Sometimes you think that what you need desperately is being contested for, and it allows you believe you must fight for everything. You often think it won't go round. You think your access to relationship won't go round. You think that you must fight for everything. You approach life like a war. All right, and this affects the way you leverage the relationships around you. For example, you belong to a team or an organization, and you could have access to certain resources because you have been a patriot, you've been loyal, you've been faithful. All right, but you assume you shouldn't gain access to that resource because you feel that there are many people competing for what you want. Oh, I've heard someone say to me before that I was like, but you know this person, you are more or less like a mentee, or in fact like a daughter to this person. And then you hear things like, he has many children, he has many mentees, all right? There are a lot of people around him already. There are a lot of, so, okay, and I feel that's just shortchanging yourself and having yourself think like, oh, if the person is attending to so much already, he's not going to give you a chance, or you don't have a chance. You must understand that you can be served first, okay? And even if it's not about being served first, it will be enough to go around. You have access to, to what you need. You can have access to what you need. At number 5 is the principle of ask. This is a principle that has so worked for me. I'm never ashamed to ask for what I think I need, because I have never equated asking with begging. I think this is where a lot of people find it hard to draw the lines. For them, begging is a synonym for asking. Asking is a synonym for begging. I believe that begging is about when you have no value to bring to the table. Begging is about you putting yourself in a place where you are not negotiating rightly. You are acting like there is nothing about you, and I'm at your mercy. I'm at your beck and call. That's what begging is like. But asking is not same. When you know that you are bringing value to the table and you are asking in exchange for something, you should be bold enough to make that exchange, asking for what you need. The value you bring to the table is strongly tied to the perception of who you are and how you carry what has been given to you. Who you are and how you carry what. So people are always saying, I don't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask, because somewhere in their minds is a thought or a stronghold that has equated asking with begging. What do you think about this? I'm working on this. Would you like to come on board? I'm working on this, and I feel that we'll be able to use your expertise. Can we have you on board? This is what I'm working on. When you're not ashamed to speak boldly about the value you're bringing to the table. All right. I'm working on a book, and this was something I really leveraged when I was doing my last book launch. And I was looking at a scenario where I wasn't going to, my goal was to spread my book as far as possible, and I felt there's so much value in this book. I can get vendors to plan this launching without having to necessarily, or to spend as much as I should spend in terms of money, or I can ask vendors to come on board, giving them this value and then reducing the financials as far as that launching was concerned. I saw the value in the book. I saw the value on the content and what I was offering. And then I approached vendors. I approached like 5 vendors. This is what I want you to do, and this is what I'm asking for. All right. And as I asked, I got what I wanted. I gave my value. I asked. So asking is completely different from begging. And I feel like the more we continue to shortchange ourselves with asking, the more we stay slow at executing. The more and then when something is really slow and not happening at a quick pace, we lose the energy to bring it to fruition. Principle of access. All right, so this, like I did say here, will always be a game changer for me. I remember saying that there are things you would have to begin to embrace if you need to be an executionist. There are things you need to begin to do. Okay, so the principle of access is when you learn to think about people with what they know and not about what they have. We are in a system or in a community where there is more concentration on what people have, and as such, people step into relationships only wanting to get and to draw and to siphon and become leeches. All right, because you're just concentrating on what you can get in the now in terms of tangible things. But the principle of access, and then in how he aids your execution process, is when you begin to think about what people know. This person, and this is what helps us to really juice out the wealth in relationship you have with coaches or with mentors and all of that. This is where you come understanding that the access has been given to you to gain knowledge, and people tend to miss it here, but you shouldn't. You must be able to identify such relationships where the resource given to you is access and not tangible goods. It's access. All right, access, and that's a resource. One of the ways to enjoy access is you take the position of a student, you take the position of a learner, you take the position, and it's a position of discipline. All right, it's a position of discipline. Access is cheaper now that the world is a global village. All right, so the key thing is to know how to wisely maximize this access. It's a lot cheaper now. It's a lot cheaper now, you know. And I was trying to access a relationship recently because I wanted to know what this person knows. He's an icon when it comes to the sector of music, you know, and I began to say to myself, okay, this is where I have attained as far as my music work is concerned. However, I think this person has really achieved a little bit more, or has achieved something really worthy of recognition as far as I am concerned. And as I'm looking at the next phase in my music career and all of that, I'm saying to myself, I want to access this relationship. And I'm not going to go there saying, come and support my program, come and support this, because that's what people do, you know. I'm going there saying, this is what I want to know. And so the approach, that's why I said wisely maximize. The approach in doing that is so key. And did I get it? Yes, I did. Did I get the attention of the person? Yes, I did. But if I didn't step into that world, if I didn't take that step, I probably wouldn't have. Wow. So let's talk about the principle of worth. Your worth is your value. And this is so much about your perception of yourself. It's like saying, like attracts like. If you have a wrong perception of yourself, you will only begin to attract those who have wrong perceptions of themselves, or you will never be able to attract the people that you really desire were in your world, as it were. Valuable people attract valuable people. So you must seek to always increase in your internal value and in the value you create for the world. You must seek to always increase in your internal value and the value you create for the world. Now, one of the ways I think of value is not only in producing something for the world, but who you are inside. Do you know that humility is a value? Do you know that simplicity is a value? And that is, I'm a very simple person, and I realized that it's something people value. And instead of me throwing that away, I began to use it more. I began to use it more. I began to use it more. I began to let my simplicity work for me. I began to let my humility work for me. I began to let my spirit of love work for me, because this is about increasing your value. So if you are a temperamental person, if you're someone who is easily irritated by, in one way or the other, is depleting your worth, because people can perceive this about you. But do you know that you can work on that, you know, and then still heighten your internal value? So this is about your worth, because when you are looking and polishing yourself on the inside genuinely, because you want to be a better person for the world, because you know that you are supposed to be a better person for the world, seeing yourself as the asset that needs to be the value, as it were. So you must seek to always increase your internal value, because when you do that, you attract valuable people. By doing this, you will invariably pull more resources to yourself. People love people who are good. People love people. People are attracted to people who are warm. People are attracted to people who are respectful. People are attracted to your worth. Your worth. Your worth is about your worth. How you want to be seen. How you want to be treated. How you want to be perceived. Because every resource for execution of your work is deposited in the earth, in the lives of those already existing. So if you're not working on that word and on that value for your inside, if you're not working, all right, you're going to be missing out on what should be yours. I want to give you an example of my friend's wedding. He planned to just have a simple wedding, perhaps not just more than 150 people, but newsflash, it became more than that, simply because, so the wedding is a big project, I'm sure you know, but as he began to talk to friends, or he just shared his, people were coming up saying, wow, no, we're going to do this for you, we're going to do this for you at no cost. So you can see that because his worth and his value for himself had been polished, and he had done so well with that, he was attracting resources, was attracting human resources. And then, in fact, it catalyzed the whole, but it made it big and made it beautiful. All right, so that's something you need to begin to see. That's something you need to begin to see. The principle of reciprocation. The principle of reciprocation. Kind of close to the last principle that I shared, but it's good to just talk about it differently. When you learn to promote others' work, this is about promoting other people's work. It's about giving back. It's about treating people with honor and love. It's about demonstrating kindness. It's about growing partnership deliberately. It's about you offering something, and as you do that, you're giving back. You're giving back. You see yourself have been able to enjoy, you have enjoyed some good from others, and you're not going to wait until you are being until it's being demanded from you, but you're saying, I'm going to promote someone's work. I'm going to treat people with honor, because as you do that, you are attracting resources, especially when it will be needed. All right, so these are some of the things you need to begin to work on. You need to begin to work on. I would also want to share with you, I call it my glossary of human resources. And from time to time, I check out these things so that I know when best and how best to maximize them. Your personal assets. You must understand that your personal asset, you are your first asset. You are your knowledge, your natural skills, your learned skills, your life experiences. When it comes to getting things done, all of this will come to play. Your certifications, your trainings, all right, your weaknesses. I know that sounds strange, but it is a resource, because once you can identify your weaknesses, then you know when you can say, I need help here, and go. You identify it, all right? I believe that our weaknesses, it's what we tend to often think it's negative. That you don't do some things well doesn't mean it's not an asset. No, because the level at which you even know how to do it, you can maximize that at a particular phase of your work. And then the other side of it is you you can bring in someone. Once you know that I'm not good with this, you can say, oh, that's where I need your help. So it makes it easier for you to identify where you should get support. Your close circle relationships. Think about your mentors. Think about people you can ask questions from, your coaches. Think about your team leaders. Think about your families and friends. Think about your colleagues at work. Think about your team members. Maybe you're just in small little things like that. Think about your classmates. Think about your hobby mates. Think about your proteges. Think about your church folks, your departmental folks, people you get to do things together. Think about them. Think about your self-fellowship, So your close circle relationships. Think about the next is your next circle relationship. And these are people that you really truly have indirect access to. The friends of your close friends. Yeah, they're indirect. Your WhatsApp group associates, your next door mentors, your distant mentors, your distant mentees. All right. So your next circle relationships. I was a part of a group recently that had to do with a lot of young people in ministry, people who were just starting to gain their identity in Christ, different categories of people who were also just stepping into executing their life's work, and it's just amazing that. So while the group was closing up and then the entire program was ending, we introduced ourselves and all of that. And then this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is where I am. Said our names and all of that. And so we said bye. So so some people went through the back door and just connected with people who they saw kind of was doing something similar to what we were doing. And then I had two young friends like that, one by the name Princess, and she's not like my next circle relationship. I was just getting to know her, and she introduced herself, and all of that. And I must let you know that in executing this next phase of my coaching work, she played such a huge role without me even asking, as it were. So that was her leveraging like indirect access. We didn't really know each other one-on-one. This group brought us together, okay, and she went back door and she initiated this relationship. And on my side, because of the understanding I have about human resources, I don't damn people. I don't. Once you come into my world, I find a way to make you feel at home, because I understand that the world is about giving, and that I may just need something. You may just need something from me. I may need something from you. I believe that there's always that amount of wealth, of resource in human beings that might just be relevant at that phase that we met each other. So you need to begin to think about your next circle relationships. You need to think about and lastly, your social media community, your Google contacts, your WhatsApp groups. Why are you there? LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook communities. A whole lot of you are in some of these groups. Some of you have joined book publishing, Facebook communities. Some of you have joined fashion communities and all of that. But that's where it ends. You don't even go beyond reading what's there and initiating in a relationship with the mindset that, oh, I think this is what I want to do. This person might be able to help. So these are things that you really need to begin to take very important. So let's do a quick recap of the 8 principles. Think about the existent need, like the actual need. Think about the principle of abundance. Think about the principle of asking, the principle of collaboration. We talked about diamond in the rough, where you're not just looking out for just the big brands, but also recognizing the growing brands. You know, the principle of no competition, no scarcity, the principle of access and how to relate with access, the principle of worth, and the principle of reciprocation. So, think about this for a few seconds. Which of these principles needs to be further utilized in your execution processes? Which of these principles need to be further utilized in your execution processes? What can you begin to do differently from this moment to accelerate your execution? I don't know what you're trying to execute now, but what can you begin to do differently from this moment to bring you quicker results? I tried one today. All right, I tried one today, and I've taken that off my table right now. It's in the hands of somebody who I have identified can help me, get that that particular phase of the work done. So begin to think of what you can do differently. Right now, number three, I'm asking you to flip through your circle. Flip through your circle. Who have you bypassed as a nobody, but actually shares in your vision if you take a second look? And who can you equally be a support to? Flip through your circle. Who have you bypassed as a nobody, but actually shares in your vision if you take a second look? All right. And then lastly, how is your present mindset preventing you from accessing human catalysts that can quicken your result? How is your present mindset preventing you from accessing human? You see, because this thing about mindset is such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful thing. You must keep checking what is stopping you from doing certain new things. If it's a belief system, if it's a stronghold that's preventing you from accessing some human catalysts that can quicken your result, please, then you need to begin to take immediate step. In fact, tell yourself, okay, I'm going to just walk into this process. Like, what the least that can happen is to get a no. But then when you think of the principle of abundance, it helps you say, why should I get a no? I'm going to sell myself well. So let me just tell you how I got access into a major visionary program this year that would have cost me about 2 million naira to pay for. And so what I did was I went to this person's work. All right, I saw this opportunity and I was like, I desire this thing. If I can get on board with this thing and spend like 3-6 months here, then I know that I'm going to be able to achieve some of all these other visions that I have put on paper for long. Attending this program was going to close a lot of gaps for me, and I was going to know what to do, and perhaps now begin to run faster. It's not even a matter of perhaps. I knew I was going to run faster. So like I said, it was a question of meals, right? I sold myself. Before I saw the open opportunity, I was already selling myself to high profile people as well, because I felt for me to be able to raise 2 million naira to attend or to enjoy this course, it means that this is not about begging here. This was about asking. This was about my worth and my value and what this training was going to do for me. This is what is costing me. This is what I have. This is how I want you to come on board to ensure that I get this training. If I do this training, this is what I'm going to be delivering at my next phase, at my visionary phase. These are the people that are going to be helped. This is how lives are going to be changed. So it was about me pitching myself. I did like a 1-page document, and I saved it and I sent it, all right, to people in my close circle, all right. And I did that, and I was positive. But before those responses came, there was an open door for scholarships, and I was like, this is the time to sell me. And I applied immediately. Okay. And it was a question of fall back. So there was a page to apply, but then I also looked for the email of the CEO, as you were, the facilitator of the program. I got the email, and I also sent what I had there, and I pitched myself. It was like knocking on the door, because I knew that this was going to fast track my next phase. And whoa, I got in. Okay, so I'm asking, how is your present mindset preventing you from accessing human catalysts that can quicken your results? Let these questions rest with you, and then let it also push you into taking new and right decisions. Thank you. And you should subscribe to my YouTube channel. You should subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not done that yet.